so many parts of yourself that you didn't realize that you needed to heal. I think, I don't know, and just like the connectedness it gives, within your family or even to your ancestors. I know we've talked about this before where, there's sometimes where it's just so like overwhelming and like you can't, help but get caught up and teary-eyed because like this is like our original language, and it's so complex, but it's so beautiful at the same time.
Welcome to Enweying, Our Sound podcast. This is a grassroots podcast intended for those raising or helping to raise children in an Indigenous language.
A special shout out to the Indigenous Screen Office for making season 2 of Enweying possible. Getcha miigwech.
Sagoli.
Sagoli.
It's something our listeners probably aren't used to hearing a lot. How are you?
Good.
I already asked you already.
Yeah. Hanging in there.
Hanging in there. Well, bonjour.
You have your, who's the little one? You have your little one in the background there?
Yeah, she's right beside me. She's got all her dolls out, so I'm assuming she's not leaving.
Cute. Yeah, well, miigwech yanko for being willing to sit with us and talk with us. And I've just been eager to hear from another mama who's fighting the good fight, as you say.
It is. It's a good fight.
And yeah, I let you, well, this is our third episode, I guess, technically of season 2. You know us, but I'll let you introduce yourself if you're comfortable doing so.
Okay. Saigo Sogweg. Mary ni yung gets kahawani ni Waxanoda on the aga ng knudi at slot. Hokwali new git the loda on the aga ng knudi at slot. Hungwe huene jit new degnagle. Jayadat wagwilaya yeli wahawe agosana Mackenzie ne yung dadgets kaya. James Collect Tracy yung gyogu. James Nayla Wyatt's Lagate ni Tracy na yung dadgets agnoha. Olive na yung dadgets aksut. Leslie Nayla Wyatt's kwe laksut ka. Tilly na yung dadgets kwe aksut ka. James Nayla Wyatt's kwe laksut ka. Kili hunyani he hongwe hue ne ha owana awundwan yung dakwe ladiksatsu ha e ganadagi nishwashnagang ne Wyatts. So hello, my name is Mary. Kahawani is my Oneida name. I'm Bear Clan. I'm from Oneida Nation of the Thames. I live on reserve. I have one daughter. Yeli Wahawe is her traditional name. Mackenzie is her English name. My parents are Tracy and James Antone. I talked a little bit about my grandparents. My grandparents on my mother's side, I have my grandma left, and she's a fluent speaker. And my grandpa on my mom's side has passed away. And on my dad's side, both his parents are gone. And I just talked a little bit about that. I teach children the language, and currently I am the language consultant at Nishwashnagang Child Care and Family Center. Technique.
Oh,
Miigwech.
yeah, yanko miigwech. I've been eager to have you on, like I said, just because we just recently kind of started working in the same area, expertise, but space. Yeah, we didn't know each other prior to that. I don't think I knew of your dad. I knew of your dad.
Yeah. Seems like that's everybody knows of him.
Through other places that I've worked. And then then we got to know each other really well in the last couple of weeks, and see with your daughter, raising her in Oneida, which is like really awesome. And I just like really wanted to hear from you and there's been so many times that like we've connected on
Yeah.
the struggle. So
Yeah.
I kind of just was wanting to share some of that together. So that's kind of how we met, Monty.
Yeah. I think I don't know if we ever like met like, oh, hi, I'm Mati, I'm Larry. Like
Yeah.
we were just kind of around
Yeah.
each other. But I knew your dad, like everyone knew your dad because he was he worked at the high school. So Indigenous student counselor. And so that's how I met him. And then your brother through friends. But yeah, and then through sports too. I think we're kind of seeing each other. And you know, you were probably still are an awesome athlete. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
I think
appreciate that.
so yeah, I think that's how we kind of know each other. And I kind of went and I didn't even know that you're like knowing your dad, I didn't know he was a fluent speaker. And just like him being like youngish, like
Mhm,
not being like an old elder, like I was
mhm.
just really surprised. And because even through high school, like I didn't know that. And then it wasn't until later on. And then I figured out that, yeah, I can't even remember how I found out, but I think I heard him speaking. I think I think now that it's coming back to me, I think we were at the Indigenous Games and you were playing fastball
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
and
And
your
he
dad
told me.
was, yeah, you and then he was talking to somebody else. I don't know. I forget who he's talking to, but he was just speaking in Oneida and I was like, oh, I didn't even know he could speak. But yeah, it's good. Like I'm glad that you're kind of getting into it and starting to learn now too.
Mhm.
Which kind of is nice segue. Like, what was your learning journey, Mary? Like, did you grow up speaking? Or
Uh,
for our viewers, yeah, like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't said like you're raising a daughter in Oneida, but yeah, where did your journey start, or like how did you get the spark to want to just speak all the
Mhm.
time at home?
Well, I've always like I come from a language family, so my dad's a fluent speaker. Both his parents were fluent speakers, and they raised all their kids in a fluent household. My dad, he started that with us when we were young, like me and my brothers. I've got four brothers, but I'm the youngest. He started that with us where like he only spoke to us in the language, like he does with my daughter. But just like from going to school and and the mainstream language is English, so kind of, we kind of just lost it, which kind of sucks. But I always I always knew that when I had children that that's how I wanted to raise them, was with the language. So when I found out I was pregnant with Mackenzie, that kind of lit the fire under my butt to like, okay, let's go. Like, this is it now. So I've always had like a little bit of a background in language. Even before like I had Mackenzie, I was teaching language at Standing Stone, like our community school. My dad retired, so I started teaching then. So yeah, so like I've always been around it. It's always been there. But not until like I had her and she was here is kind of when I kind of really buckled down and I started the Dodati program through Fanshawe and stuff and all with her. She was 4 months when I started and she was there right from day one and she was there right till the last day. So I think that really helped her because then it's not only me she's hearing it from, like she's not only hearing it from my dad, like she's heard it from like multiple different people. So it's kind of I wanted to normalize it for her the best I can. Because like I said, like I'm not fluent. So normalizing it for me, I think is hard. It's one of the hardest parts because it's always so easy just to fall back to English all the time. Especially in spur of the moments when there's a lot going on. Like it's always easiest to go back to English, but like I really have to try my best not to, because she needs to hear in all different aspects of what's going on. So and then it just I've gone on from there. I've just found different programming and stuff like that where I'm able to keep learning and working with fluent speakers and stuff. So um we are in a dire situation as for our language, Oneida. I think we're down to less than 20 speakers. So we're really in a dire situation. And so I'm doing my best, what I can, to do to get into all these programs and see what I can learn, and as well as, help other people learn too. Recently, I've always been on the other end where I'm the beginner learner and I'm always working with an advanced learner. But recently I'm now the advanced learner. So I'm the one where, I have a student and she comes to me with all of these questions, and I have to, try my best to help her. So it's been it's been a huge learning curve for myself because, I have to be on top of everything and I have to do that much more preparation and studying, just so that I can be prepared for, some of the questions she may have and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think being a second language learner is helpful to her because I know what she needs, as far as like what supports and the different things that have helped me learn along the way are kind of working for her too. Whereas if she were working with a fluent speaker, like she might not get that, that breakdown of and that help in that way. So yeah, so it's just a huge learning curve, but I have my good days and my bad days, with the language, just like everybody else. Some days we feel like we're on top of the world, and the next day, it's just like I can't do this, I mean, it's good. It's fun and I enjoy it, and I'm excited to see where we go. My daughter's come a long way too. She still has that mental block of like not being able to like actually speak it, but she can understand a lot. She's starting to speak more, but yeah, but like I said, I think just like normalizing it for her and giving her the praise, but at the same time, like not overly praising, I guess, if that makes sense. Because like there's just like some things where like I'm proud of her for knowing it, but like I don't want to keep like like keep pointing it out. Like I just want her to normalize it so that like she says something or she does something that I'm asking her, like I want her to realize that, okay, like yes, you have that now let's build on to that and see what else like we can get you to understand, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't even remember what the question was, so
No, that was so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just just going back to when you said when you got pregnant with your daughter, you said that was like when you really started focusing.
Mhm.
Was there like what was like the spark? Like did you hear someone that motivated you, or did someone motivate
Um,
you to do that, or why did you feel like at that time it was?
just because I like for her, I wanted to be able to be a better speaker and a better teacher for her for the language. And like I said, I don't know, like I guess I just always had in my head that like that's what I wanted to do with my
Mm,
children, for my children. And it just so happened at the time that was the first year that they were running the Fanshawe program. And I saw it and I didn't even like, I don't know, like I didn't even second guess myself or nothing. I just like applied, and it wasn't until after that I was like, what am I doing? Like I have a newborn. Like she, like I said, like she was 4 months when the program started, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Like this is insane. Like, a newborn is already like a lot.
yeah.
And then adding on, a college course, and not only that, language, right? Like language takes a lot, like sometimes it takes a lot to understand and to get things. So I'm just like, what am I doing? But I think having that base foundation like that my dad had given me years ago, it helps me out so much. Like, because there's so many things that like I just understand and I can't really explain why I understand certain things, or like just certain words that I do know other people don't know and stuff like that. So it really has helped me out. So like I'm so thankful that that he did do that for us, even though like we didn't carry on with it. But like I said, now it's just all about like uncovering all of that and bringing it back up, and just reminding myself that it's there and I can do this and stuff like that. But yeah, like it was just, yeah, it's just always been something that I've always known I wanted to do. Like I said, just coming from a language family, it kind of made sense for me to be in language and making sure my kids have language. So yeah, there was never a question that I wasn't going to raise her, the way that
Mm,
I am.
nice.
Oh,
So,
let's just go ahead.
yeah, just so like along those lines of now you're raising her, like what are some of the things that you find challenging trying to raise her in the language?
Um, just like when I don't know something, I get frustrated a lot with like if I can't either remember something or like I just don't know how to say something. Um, especially if I'm going at a good, language and then I get stuck. It's just like, like, to get to that point, like where I don't like I don't know how to say what I want to say and I do have to revert back to English. Like that's one of the most frustrating things. Um, and then I think another challenge is just like because it's just me. Like her dad knows a little bit, like he knows, like the basics that we learned in school and stuff, and which is helpful. Yeah, but like it's most of the time it's me that's, giving her a lot of the language. So sometimes that's challenging. Like I said, especially if we're really into the language and then, it has to stop or like, or we have to go back to English. That's probably like one of the biggest things. But at the same time, like I said, like I do appreciate like the effort that, her dad does put into using the things that he does know. Because again, it's helpful for her to hear not only me or like not only my dad, like talking to her and stuff. I don't know, like I just like she's so much like me that like she loves the language too. And like that, I think that's why she's sitting here now, right? Is because like she is just always so interested in what I'm doing all the time
Mhm.
that like she just has that fuel into her fire too that she wants to learn. Like she comes to class with me sometimes and like she doesn't have to like because she can stay home with her dad or or her so like she can go over there, but like sometimes she just wants to be, learning and in class and like, and she's so good. Like she sits quietly and she listens and stuff like that. So I think building that foundation right from when she was so small it's, helped shape her language journey too. So yeah, it's awesome to see and I like it and to see that she's interested in it because I know like, especially kids, like they just, again, English is so easy that, it's a lot easier for them just to say, I don't want to learn on IDEN. I want to be able to speak English, like, with my friends and stuff like that. So yeah, but I think one of the biggest challenges I see for her is going to be like, who is she going to talk to? You know,
Yeah.
we have a few, you know, parents who are raising their children in the same way, but they're not close in the same age. They're all variety of all these variety of different ages and stuff. So I think that's going to be one of our biggest challenges too, is to have somebody for her to talk to when it comes time where she can hold a conversation and stuff like that. But I guess
Mhm.
when we get there, like, we'll see what, what we can do about that, right? So
Yeah.
Every time you speak, Mary, I'm like, woo, like it's so powerful, and you like always just like reignite so many things in me, which is why I was like, I gotta get her on and share that passion that you have and that you're so grounded and you got so much good stuff to say that like it's so good. It's so nice to hear like that perspective and like the strategies that you have in your mind that how you're gonna fight through those things and considering all of those things too, because like we also, I think, share similar challenges in the sense of like, our children comprehend the language really, really well, but been difficult trying to get them to use it when we're immersed in English, and it's always the fallback because that's what their peers or people around them are speaking and whatnot, and trying to like work through that or stay motivated to keep moving through that. So yeah, it's just like so nice to hear the way that you speak about her and like how you perceive her perspective and what she enjoys and making that a joyful part of like your experience together as you learn, which sometimes I forget about. So yeah, I'm like getting goosebumps and getting like bringing out all the emotions as per usual. I'm like, holy cow, it's so good. It's so nice to hear those things. And yeah, you kind of already touched on a couple of them, but is there anything that sticks out for you? Things that you didn't expect within your household learning the language? Are you revitalizing and reclaiming your sound that's positive that you didn't see in your future when you began learning that first day that you were like, oh, I need to step up my game?
uh, I guess the healing journey of it all. When you think about language, like, you just never think that it's gonna help you heal so many parts of yourself that you didn't realize that you needed to heal. I think, I don't know, and just like the connectedness it gives, within your family or even to your ancestors. I know we've talked about this before where, there's sometimes where it's just so like overwhelming and like you can't, help but get caught up in teary-eyed because like this is like our original language, and it's so complex, but it's so beautiful at the same time. And like I love the fact that like I'm learning so much and that, like I can, carry a conversation and stuff like that. So like the healing journey of it all has been a huge thing for me. I think prior to me learning, I definitely wasn't the same person that I am now. For sure. Like I will 100% say that. Like prior to learning, like actually taking everything serious and learning the language, it has really, helped me heal all those things inside me that like that I didn't know that even existed or that I needed help with or stuff like that. But, just like I don't even know why like it's like that, yeah, just like it's just so powerful. Like our language just opens up so much for us that, it's like I don't even know how to say it, but it's yeah, and I think just like the connectedness it gives us like within our families. Like I said, like Mackenzie and my dad are so close, and and I think a big part of that is because of the language, and like right from when I found out I was pregnant, it was, I told my dad like, like I want her to be, all language, like, like that's all I want. Like that's all I want you to speak to her. And so that's all he does, right? Is he speaks the language to her, and it's cool to see them interact because he just gives it to her flat out. Like he's not, he's not breaking stuff down for her. He's not, using simple term or like that. He's giving it to her, exactly how he would speak to, an elder or like, somebody else who's fluent. So, and it's cool to see her when she um responds to him or she does whatever he asks her to do or stuff like that. It's so cool to see that like she knows all of that, and like it's just like how but I mean like all of our babies before they come here, we're told that they interact with our ancestors and they communicate with them and stuff. So um it's like it's been like the coolest thing I think ever to see is her and my dad and when they're interacting and stuff because um it's so powerful. Just how much she knows, like, and like I said, like there's like some things where like I have no idea like what he's saying to her, and yet she knows, right? So it's just like yeah.
So you're saying like sometimes you don't know what he's saying, but she does?
Yeah. So like
Wow.
there's times when, like, or like, I'll get bits and pieces of it,
Yeah.
but I don't get the full, whatever he's the full statement or whatever's going on. And like she will like, and stuff. So it's um yeah, she amazes me like all the time because like and like I wish I could just have her brain, just so I can start all over again, and just like start all over and just get that, that clean slate of, just right from the beginning learning. And because like I hope one day she doesn't have to follow, all this color system that we have and stuff. I just want her to be able to speak, and I know that like that's the biggest thing for fluent speakers, right? Is that like they don't understand the way that we learn now because like they never had to, like they were just spoken to and that was it. Like they weren't told that, things are blue and red and purple or whatever, right? Like, so and that's how like I want her to be like, so she doesn't have to stop and think about all these other colors and how to change stuff. So yeah, so I really encourage her and get her over there to see my dad as much as I can, just because he's the best teacher. Like he's been doing it his whole life. That's like I said, he grew up in a fluent household. Like all of his siblings grew up that way, and like he didn't know English until he went to school, And then even then he says that whenever they would come home, English stayed at the door, you know.
Wow.
It was right back into Oneida, you know, right until he would leave for school the next day. So I wish we could have that, you know, but I guess working towards it too is always, you know, is always a positive too, for us. So
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's awesome. Some other things for me too was like other family that don't really speak have started, they don't speak fluently, but like they start using more, even
Mhm.
saying goodbye, saying hello. Like, did you
Mhm.
find that too?
Yeah, I found like I said, my grandma on my mom's side is a fluent speaker, but she she made the promise to herself that she wouldn't teach her children just because of what she went through. So none of my mom or my aunts and uncles on my mom's side know any of the language, or, you know, hardly any of it. But I found that like my mom really is, she's trying, you know, like she uses, you know, the basic words with Mackenzie too, and she's picked up quite a bit more phrases and stuff over the years. My oldest nephew was raised like Mackenzie too, where he was getting a lot of the language, but the issue with that was that once he left my mom and dad's, like they weren't continuing on when he would go home. So they were just continuing on speaking to him in English. So he lost a lot of it, because he was pretty much like Mackenzie too, where he's understood a lot. And now he's lost a lot just because he hasn't had that both household kind of thing. Um, so yeah, and that just like shows me too that like how easily it can be lost, you know. And I just gotta tell myself every day, like, you know, because there's some days where I feel like I didn't use enough language with her, right? So I feel like that some days, and usually those are the busy days, but like at the same time, you know, I just have to keep reminding myself that like, you know, tomorrow will be a better day, you know. We're, like you said, we're just gonna keep fighting the good fight and putting in our efforts and doing the best that we can. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And like even like meeting you and being able to talk and hear those things from you just like every day, or when we get the chance to have a little chat or whatever, it just like it's been so good for me to refuel and remembering that as well. That like some days I'm down on myself because I didn't speak enough, or I wonder if I didn't speak enough or whatnot. But then there's times like where she'll say a bunch of words just on her own, or my son will say a bunch of words just on his own, and I'm like, okay, no, like I am doing an okay job. Like that is something is happening here, and like I don't need to keep on going, like you said.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. You're making me speechless because I'm just like, woo, I feel so seen. And I'm not gonna cry on this one. I'm not gonna cry on this one. I've cried enough. Just like, holy cow, like I'm just feeling like it's so nice to like it's just so powerful. Like I said, like even though that we don't have the same heritage language or the same mother tongue, I'm like, yeah, it's so nice to see like we're kind of like that quote, you're in your canoe and I'm in my canoe, but we're not crossing, but
Yeah.
we have a similar experience and whatnot. It's so cheesy, but that's how I feel. Do you have any other advice for parents that are wanting to raise their kids in their own target language, whether that be Anishinaabe, Ongwe Hongwe? Is that how you say Oneida?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, probably butchered that. Um, or their own target language.
Hmm. I don't think I don't think there is any easy way to do it. You know, it's just, you just got to do it. You have to make that commitment though to it. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people, is making that commitment to it and really committing to your learning and your child's learning. And okay, I just need one sec. I just gotta grab her some
Of
food.
course. Yeah, yeah, take your time. Like I said, I'm like trying not to cry. It's like feel this is just really cool to experience, honestly. Like I just awkward.
Um,
Well, we can re-ask the
yeah,
question.
yeah,
Yeah, just if you have any advice for any other parents that are trying to do the same thing, trying to raise their kids in their language.
yeah. So, yeah, like I said, just like you have to really fully commit to to it, the whole thing, like as a whole. Like it can't just be something that you only learn or you only do at work or at school or whatever. Like you have to really, you know, embed it into your entire lives. Like I said, I work in town, so like Mackenzie and I usually have, a good nice solid half hour drive in and drive home every day. And when on those days when she is up for talking, that's when I throw questions at her about like, what is your name? What is your clan? Stuff like that, just so that she's hearing it and and like I give her the answers, or like she can throw the answers out there too at me sometimes, and I just help her to put it into, a sentence and how she would answer it properly, answer the question and stuff like that. So like I think just taking advantage of, any little moments like that, is helpful, especially when you can kind of get that one-on-one if you're able to with your child. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is that whole commitment piece. And I find that's really hard for our people. I know I speak from the Onondaga people, and just the people that I've come across and who are trying to learn, but they don't understand that it's more than just, 2 hours when you're in class. You really need to put in that time. You need to practice, because it's not, you're not going to understand it in just that 2 hours. Like you have to really, use it. Like that's just like they say, if you don't use it, you lose it. So, and that's exactly how it works.
Mhm.
So that's like a huge, huge thing. And I think, again, a lot of that comes down to our traumas within, our own, and within our own selves, is having that commitment. Because, yeah, like I've just seen so many people who are so committed, and then they just fall off, and then, and then you don't see them again, or you don't hear from them again. Like, in the language world, I'm speaking from. Yeah, so that's one of the huge things, is fully committing yourself and your children into it. And like I said, even on those bad days, still at least giving some kind of effort, right?
You talked about learners knowing the colors. The adult learners need to
Yeah.
know the colors. Could you explain what those
Yeah.
are?
Yeah. So like in Oneida, like our pronominals, so like we I don't know how you guys I don't know how it's so different, because our languages are so different. But for a lot of words, like you can either change it from he, she, it, or if you're talking about multiple people, stuff like that. So we have a color system, depending on who and what you're talking about. If you're talking to person, if you're talking about something else in yourself. So our systems are set up in colors to make it easier for second language learners. But that's a new system that just came to help us. Like I said, like a lot of our fluent speakers they were just kind of thrown in there, right? Like they just like English, like, yeah. So like I know, like I said, I'm in a class, and my dad is our fluent speaker. So he was the other day, he was trying to understand the color system, and he was just like, so he like looked at a word and he was like, can you change this to purple? And I was like, what? And he was like, can you change this to like, he has no idea between the different colors and what they mean. Like, he just threw a random color out there. He's like, can you change this purple? And I was like, yeah. I was like, if you're talking to person, like, but he like still didn't understand, like, so they're just wired differently than we are. um but yeah, so it's just a tool that helps us learn a lot easier, and how to switch out who you're talking about and stuff like that.
Yeah, just adding on that last part, like I always say that to like students or people who are like beginning to learn or who don't have an idea about language, where I'm like, you speak English, are you able to like sit down and teach a grammar lesson on like adverbs or adjectives, or what this conjunct means, or what like all these like a dependent versus a dependent, like I'm like, just because we speak fluently English doesn't mean we know the grammar breakdowns, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes we forget, like, I know that that's like a common thing where it's hard to explain why. And then I was like, yeah, because, you know, they grew up, they didn't have like grammar lessons, they just knew it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny because I was going to bring up the same thing. Like, I knew what you were talking about, but just for like the listeners,
Yeah.
to be like blue, red, purple.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I think Monty, wasn't there something about that?
Um,
Didn't you get that idea from?
yeah, I had a friend who was a Mohawk teacher and learner, and she had showed me the different colors of how they add things to the words and how they change meanings. And so in Anishinaabe our words kind of work similar in a way. Like we just add things to the word. So that, I found that really helpful and I started implementing that and kind of sharing that. And so I see more people in the world, Anishinaabe world doing that now, just color coding everything just to, because it stands out that like for adults, like our brains work that way.
Yeah.
We need to see that obvious difference or else we don't pick it up. And yeah.
Are there any, if you do have any, no pressure if you don't, are there any tips or strategies or ways that you overcome feeling overwhelmed when you're learning? Like, say you get frustrated or anything, is there any like tips or tricks or things that you try and use? Or if there's not, that's okay too, but anything you can think of at the top of your head or?
Um, Not really. It's just, I guess, just taking that time for yourself and to rest. Because learning the language is exhausting and it's tiring. Um, and sometimes you just need to sleep. Like, it sounds so like not helpful, but at the same time, like it's one of the biggest things that I found that helps me is to just kind of like take that step back and realizing, that it's a journey. It's not something that, we're fully going to understand in a day or a week or, even a year. Like it's going to take some time for us to fully understand. And even then, we still won't understand everything. But yeah, and I think just having those language people within your circle are really helpful too, because they know what you're getting, right? Like what it feels like, because it's not a feeling that you can really describe or talk about with somebody who has never experienced something like that. Like I said, like I work in town, and I'm in an organization where there's only a few of us who understand that within our building there. So when we try and talk about it to somebody else, it's always, oh, I feel so bad. But it's just, don't feel bad for me. I don't want you to feel bad, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from, I want you to understand like how much effort goes into learning the language, and that it's not just about picking up a book or sitting in a class for a couple of hours and understanding everything. It's just like there's so much more that goes with our language. It's our culture, it's our ceremonies, it's everything, right? So like if you want to learn the language, you're learning everything, and like I said, I think that's the huge part and why it's a healing journey, and why it takes so much out of you when I don't want to say like you're forced to heal when you learn the language, but it almost is like that, because if you're not healing, you're not going to get it. And I think that's why it's really hard for a lot of people, is because you realize a lot of things, and you realize a lot of things that you don't need in your life when you do start that language journey. Because like there's, like I said, like I was a totally different person, before I started this, but I would never want to change that either, you know but in both ways. Like like the person I was before, I wouldn't change the experiences I had or nothing like that, what I experienced or nothing that, because it made me, who I am. In one way or another, it made me who I am. And then healing from all of that and healing from stuff, it just made me a better person. And I get to realize and see, certain things that I don't need within my life, and that like I don't, and certain things like I don't want for my daughter. So it's all like I say, it's all connected. It's all, and you start this and then the whole all these things start opening up for you, but they're all positive things and they're all good things that come to you when you do let yourself fully invest in this. Yeah. Because like I said, I've just seen so many people who have started, and then that, and my thinking is that's probably where they got to, right? Is that they were kind of having to deal with some traumas that they're not ready to deal with yet. And that's, and that's not for everybody, right? Like some people, have more traumas than other and stuff like that. So it's not something that you can necessarily, kind of be like, well, you need to heal. Like, no, you can't say that to somebody else either. Like, you have to let them make that realization for themselves.
Yeah, I see that. Like, I've seen that too. And, the Schnappemoen world where, same thing. People kind of start learning and maybe, they think they're ready. And then it's not until they're actually in it and learning, then they're like, oh no, like, what do I have to do? Like, I have to look at myself differently and all of that.
Mhm.
Everything you just said. Yeah. Um, as far as like learning too, is there any like resources in Oneida for Oneida learners that is kind of your go-to that's
My
out
dad.
there? Fluent speakers.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest thing, right? Is that I think just taking some time to be able to sit down with elders and get down to the nitty-gritty of it, like, because some things just can't be taught, you know, through the books and stuff like that. Some of it has to come from the fluent speaker themselves, and also like our language is not going to be the same, as our grandparents had and our ancestors had. But also like our world is changing too. So like it makes sense that it's not going to be the same. But I think understanding like where everything comes from and stuff like that is just as important too. Like, because there's so many words that like we just lost because we don't use them anymore, or they're only used in ceremonies, and we've lost those too. So again, like it's always hard. But yeah, no, I think just like being able to sit down with a fluent speaker is probably like one of the best ways to learn. And like I said, like I recently became the mentor for somebody, and I'm realizing how I guess important like we are as the ones who are a bit more advanced than the beginner learners, just how important we are to our language, because like I said, like we know those strategies of how to learn that our elders they just can't. Like I said, they did, that's just not how they grew up. So I think you know finding a speaker, a second language learner, too, is just as important as finding an elder, to help you learn those little tricks that that they can't explain to you, but like I can explain, because I've seen it. I've done the work to learn these things. So, but if we're talking about like an actual like resource, like I don't know. I think just maybe the curriculum that like was, it's like not even completed, just because like we've had so much just go on that, but I think that curriculum that we have going, that a number of different programs are using, is probably going to be our key to getting us some speakers. Yeah.
Are people, is it like accessible to anybody, or do you
Mm,
people have to take a certain program?
I'm not sure. Um, I know I've gotten it through the same curriculum through a number of different programs. So I don't know if it's actually accessible just for anybody, but at the same time, it wouldn't be helpful just for somebody to walk in and be like, hey, like, can I have this curriculum? You know what I mean? Like you kind of need a teacher or like, you know, a mentor or somebody to help you work through it too. Because it's just like going into, you know, math classroom and saying, hey, can I have the curriculum? You know, like you need that teacher to help you guide you, right? So it's the same thing. Like you still need that person to work with you and stuff. So I don't think that just anybody coming along and asking for the curriculum would be helpful either. But if you can find somebody to help you work with it, then
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. This is kind of a weird one to ask now because it's like everything you're saying is just so amazing. But is there any funny words, funny stories, humorous things, whether it be with your daughter or with your family or something that happened to you in your own personal learning journey or with us? I don't know. Just kidding.
well, Mackenzie's always funny. Just kidding.
You know,
But
she's hilarious.
I was gonna say, I think we have one like when you were trying to say, was it gos? The word for pig?
In the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And she
yeah,
just
she's my little mini teacher. She really enjoyed, like I said, she's so much like me, that I just can't help but laugh because like she tries to be a little mini teacher within her classroom, well, within the whole school. Yeah. But other than that, probably like I think
I-
going back to how like our fluent speakers learn. My dad would always say that whenever his grandpa would be sitting with other older men, he would be sitting under the table listening, and that's why he knows so many of the older stories, older, you know, terms and stuff like that. And so he says all the time that that's why Mackenzie's like that, and is because like she's always listening, and it's true. Yeah, I don't.
yeah, no, and there's some context. Yeah, we were reading, well, I wasn't. Someone was reading in the classroom a book about barnyard animals and I don't know, something about it's like a repetitive thing. And I was like trying to be helpful and being like, hey, I'll talk to you in your own language. And I think I know the word for pig. I think it's squiss. And she like looked up at me and she's like, no. And she said, how do you say it? Gos
Gos.
Gos. And I was like, darn it, like here I am trying to be like helpful. And I'm just like, because it's yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah. It's kind of similar to Anishinaabe we say gokosh. So that's why I remember it. Same with like chicken is like jit right? Or jit or something.
Get.
Get see. So, but I don't know because we have like baka clan. I remember having a conversation with someone being like, "Oh, it's like kind of like the way that they sound, right?" Or I don't know. Anyways, so those were sticking in my head, and I thought that was going to be, you know, it's funny. She's so sweet. It's been awesome having her as a little friend. I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to share there, but yeah, some context to being taught. It's not the first time, it won't be the last that, you know, a little one tells me I'm saying something wrong. Yeah, but I don't know if there's anything else that you are just dying to share or get off your chest or anything else that you wanted to say before we kind of wrap up here, or if that's everything, that's okay too.
No, I mean, I just want to say thank you, Yamako, you know, because you've helped me out just as much as, you know, I've helped you out. And like you said, just knowing somebody who's trying to do the same thing as I am, you know, it's especially somebody that I can talk to, you know, every day kind of thing. Like I said, we have a couple of families around here who are trying, you know, the same thing, but just not able to, you know, talk to them every day kind of thing. So just talking about, you know, the struggles and stuff like that. And like you said, just it really helps out knowing that it's not just me, you know, that feels that way sometimes when it comes to, you know, our own learning or parenting and stuff like that. So it's been good. So I appreciate, what you guys are doing too with your own families there, and just how special it is, and the feeling it brings to your families. It's always nice.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch because I was going to say, like, your community and your family is so lucky to have you. And, like, you're such a powerful matriarch. And, like, yeah, I'm just, like, so glad that our paths crossed and that, we got to meet, because I'm like, whoa, she's a gem. Like, you're really, really special. And I'm just like, everybody's so lucky to be able to have you as a learner and as a speaker and as a matriarch in your communities, like I said. So I just want to say miigwech for being willing to be on or to come and chat with us. I think are really only doing this so others feel the same way as well, so that we can kind of like grow in your communities across the river from Monty's. So this is your guys's parent gallery, which I don't think I said yet. So yeah, Monty, you probably speak to that better than I could, but yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to speak to someone who shares the space.
Yeah, miigwech.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, just want to say miigwech for coming on. I'm glad you're in this journey, and everything you said resonates, and I feel it too. Everything, all the struggles and all the positives that come from it too. And yeah, I'm just really happy you came on.
Oh, I hope you have an awesome long weekend.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jimmy
All right.
Glitch, Yanko.
Oh.
Will I see you on Tuesday?
Huh.
Yeah? Oh.
Yep.
Good. I'm glad.
Chimigwech Gabzindao Kinawea. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast, Enweying Our Sound. To reach us by email, find us at oursound.podcast@gmail.com. You can find all of our links to Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon, Instagram, etc. at our Linktree, which is linktr.ee/enweying.oursound. Our theme song was done by myself, Neen Mashkogabwitkwe, and artwork completed by Nashime, my younger brother, Brent Beauchamp. Chimigwech.